We are going to start with this call in which you're going to be sharing some local initiatives to combat climate change. And so first we're going to start, if everybody has the interpretation set up already, we are going to start with the rules of MCLD. So let's try to have this be an open and honest discussion. But also, these are calls where we have a lot of people, many participants. Therefore, we're going to ask you to please use the chat box to introduce yourselves, to tell us about where you're from, and to make any of the comments. So let's keep the mics off so that this is better organized. So if you can be silent and pay attention. And of course, I want to remind you that this is an environment that we hope is very respectful. And if you have the chance to open your cameras, that would be even better. Thank you. If anybody has any issues with interpretation, would you please write that in the chat and we're going to try and help you. Okay, so I'm going to introduce MCLD. So we are a network of networks based on the majority world that was born in 2015 in Malawi, and it's introduced that very same year in the summit where they introduced the SDGs. So far, we gather over 3,000 local organizations, grassroots community organizations all over the world, and trying to challenge the inequalities in our system. And well, we consider ourselves a network of networks based on the majority world. So majority world led network of networks. We advocate for a change in the addressing of development. And right now we have 25 national associations that are either already established or being established in the whole world. Well, we have as our goals, we have understood that it is so we have the goals of MCLD. We believe that they need to be there in order for community-led development to be achieved. And one is voice and agency for women, youth, people with disabilities, and marginalized groups of different kinds. We also believe that the communities right now are not very well um, being carried. They need the proper community financing, and they need to have over 20% of financing to be assigned for community organization. That is something we advocate for. And we also think it's important that the communities have good local governance that are responsible and that are accountable, and that all of the communities deserve quality public services. And we believe that when all of this happens together, local communities become much more resilient. Next. And we work throughout the whole movement with these four pillars, which are the four core pillars in our strategic planning for 2029. The policy advocacy pillar that we do both internationally, regionally, and locally. Then the practice pillar, where we are always trying to document, learn in a collective way how this is, what is LDC, how can we move forward into a better world, solidarity and collective action, which is the idea of being together and not compete, and work as an alliance always with the communities. And the fourth is self-reliance and autonomy, which speaks of the capacity of the communities to become always less dependent on outside resources and so on. I think that we're done here. Nelly?
Thank you very much, Luana, and thank you everyone for being here for today's call. Today's call, we are looking at how we are all responding to climate change. Climate change is an existential issue that is impacting all of us. And across our MCLD membership, it was identified as a core challenge facing our work and our communities. And it was identified over and over in our strategic planning process and is a cross-cutting theme for our 2026 to 2029 strategic plan. So to address it, MCLD in all of our forms, we are working to take action in multiple ways. We're working at the global level, the regional level, and locally. Our last global call was focused on what we're doing at the global level. We were looking at the COP process, which is the main international forum for addressing climate change, and it happens at the UN. We were looking at what it is, how it works, and what is at stake. And the decisions that are made at COP, at the Conference of Parties, the UN conference, they have huge, long-lasting effects that trickle down to all of us. They shape policies and they shape funding and corporations, and it's incredibly important and is absolutely necessary that communities and local actors have a voice there because really significant change that is what will change the course of climate change. And MCLD is planning to have a voice at the upcoming COP31 conference, which is the annual version of this taking place in Turkey in November of this year. And we're going to keep exploring how local actors can influence these global agendas. But as we know, these global forums are also very bureaucratic, they're very removed, and most of us don't have access to them. Change is very slow in these spaces, and even as we work to understand them and to influence them, they can still make us feel pretty powerless. So today, we're going to look at how much power we actually do have when in the face of climate change. We're going to look at how much power communities and people have and what they can do, even without a lot of external funding and without a big multi-year program plan and outside of these big international multilateral forums. We know that many, many of our members are mobilizing actions against climate change in their communities. And that work is so important. It changes mindsets, it changes our lived realities. And across our different national associations and our regions, members are coming together to amplify the work that they're doing in their communities and to support each other to take this action. So today's call, we're going to learn more about some of these coordinated campaigns and the different community actions that members are taking. We're going to hear from 6 specific initiatives from members in 6 countries in Brazil, Colombia, Malawi, Cameroon, Sri Lanka, and Kenya. Then we're going to have breakout rooms. We're going to have breakout rooms where we can hear stories from all of you and brainstorm what else we can do in our communities, with our community partners, and as I said, without a lot of planning or resources. We're going to think about how to apply the lens of our strategic plan pillars, as Luana just shared, practice, policy, solidarity, and self-reliance, and how those pillars can help us have an even bigger impact. How when we're thinking about how they can help us think about taking action or advocating to government and the private sector, about building coalitions and being less dependent. And hopefully at the end of this call, coming out of this call, we can expand some of these campaigns that are already happening, in particular in the Latin America and Caribbean region and in West Africa, and build a global campaign across all of our members. We're hoping to have a global day of action where many of us go out and work with our communities and community partners, whether that's to plant trees or clean rivers or teach about recycling or write advocacy letters. We're hoping to have this at the end of August, on August 29th, and then again another day of action in November alongside the COP31 conference that's taking place in Turkey. We want to show that tackling climate change and shaping the future we want is happening and starts at home also. I want to also say that today's call and the idea for this global campaign is being led by the Latin America and Caribbean region members, and it's inspired by the coordinated campaign that they've been doing and that you're going to hear more about today. So after this, we're going to watch a video about their regional campaign, and then we're going to hear from our West Africa coordinator on the campaign happening in West Africa. Then we're going to hear from our 6 members on the initiatives that they've mobilized. We'll have breakout rooms, as I said, to share what we're already doing and to brainstorm, and then we'll close. So I want to especially thank Ramon and Paola, who we will be hearing from in a little bit, who pushed for this call and pushed for the campaign in Latin America and are really helping to make that happen. And a reminder that the main language for this call today is in Spanish, but we will also have English, obviously, French, Sinhalese, and Portuguese. So again, a reminder to make sure that you have your language interpretation on, especially or including if you're listening in English and presuming that yours works, unlike mine. And with that, I will hand it over to start the video.
A estratégia surgiu em uma reunião de membros do MDLC América Latina e Caribe, quando percebemos que as instituições com atuação ambiental no combate às mudanças climáticas são muito numerosas, nós somos muitos, porque esse é um assunto prioritário para a nossa geração, para a nossa década. Então resolvemos somar nossas forças, criando um efeito sinergístico, já que já realizávamos ações nos nossos territórios, fazendo elas ao mesmo tempo, sincronicamente, usando a união do MDLC, isso faria com que os nossos esforços ficassem mais visíveis e, naturalmente, mais relevantes dentro do contexto social global.
Nosotros somos la red de ambiente, esto es un voluntariado a nivel nacional, es todo Colombia. Se creó por el Ministerio de Medio Ambiente y Desarrollo Sostenible en el 2000.
Bueno, saludos gratos. Realizamos un trabajo en el barrio Potrero Grande con 20 mujeres de limpieza en el territorio. Limpiamos la cancha y organizamos el CHUP, donde aún lo seguimos trabajando con grafitis, donde seguimos organizando un poco los temas de residuos sólidos y los reciclables, pero estamos realizando ese trabajo con la comunidad, con el territorio, y donde creemos que el trabajo del medio ambiente es muy importante.
Oi, pessoal do MDLC. Aqui quem fala é Ramon Noguchi. Eu sou presidente do Instituto de Desenvolvimento Socioambiental Iaraê. Na última ação conjunta internacional em parceria com o MDLC, nós desenvolvemos mais uma etapa do projeto Reviva Ligeiro, onde junto com mais 12 instituições da cidade de Pato Branco, no Paraná, aqui no Brasil, nós removemos nesse dia cerca de 2 toneladas de resíduos sólidos, de lixo, do leito do rio e da mata ciliar ao redor, e plantamos mais de 100 mudas de árvores nativas, restaurando a área de APP. Essa ação contou com a parceria de aproximadamente 61 voluntários da universidade, da comunidade e membros das instituições parceiras. Essa ação é muito gratificante por estar devolvendo tudo aquilo que a natureza nos dá de forma tão generosa. É a nossa retribuição para a natureza e é um prazer estar compartilhando isso com o MDLC.
Y así terminaba la primera campaña de MDLC por el clima. Te invitamos a la próxima el 29 de agosto. Gracias.
Thanks so much. And thanks to Sarah for making that video. I hope everyone was able to read the subtitles on the bottom. And now, Pascal, over to you to tell us a little more about what you've been doing in West Africa.
Yes. Thank you, Nelly. And Oui, bonjour Nelly, parce que je vais faire la présentation en français.
So thank you, Nelly. I'll do the presentation in French. Good morning, Nelly, and good morning, everybody. I have the pleasure to open to talk about the campaign that we carried out in West Africa on climate change. And very quickly, I would like to say why that campaign has been organized in West Africa. I will not dwell on the context, but I will mention 3 points. Climate change is an additional burden for communities that were already involved in daily difficulties like security, food security, and simply security for women and men. Uh, uh, and so that's the first point. The second is that it is a global topic which affects everybody everywhere. That's why it comes up in our strategic plan everywhere, especially in Africa. And the third point is that the fight against climate change is limited in terms of initiatives. And so what to do? The local initiatives are really important in that context. And we also need to undertake collective actions to really achieve our objectives. So the campaign, the West African level has been organized in that context, and it aims to strengthen the synergy between institutions, local governments, society, civil society, and the financial community in order to support the communities face the challenges of the climate change. So the campaign has been designed with seven French-speaking countries in order to avoid the language barrier issues. And we are now planning another one for the English-speaking countries that will take place in this month, June. And the topic for the campaign is a campaign on collective action for stakeholders to support communities facing climate change challenges. So, as I said, we already organized the first the first one with the French-speaking countries in May. And we had 7 countries involved: Benin, Burkina Faso, Central African Republic, Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, Niger, and Togo. We also had the Belgium Development Agency, which take place because they are really interested in climate change issues. In terms of content, we had 2 communications. The first one from the National Association of the communes or the districts of Benin. And they have an institution that is called a House of National Associations. And the topic that was presented by them is climate change perceptions and actions that are underway across all the districts of Benin. The second presentation is done by first the objectives of the first presentation is to really take stock of all the actions that are taking place across the country in order to be able to scale up all the actions. The second one is about an innovation that is that is related to a oven that you can see like that. It helps cook things quickly. It's clean and healthy because we don't have too much smoke and it works with uh, so you can see that on the picture. It's an oven. And we also mentioned a number of other innovations like the forest you can see on the second picture where people visited, which people visited, and the other thing is yeah to sum up. Our objective is to restore wood in our environments. And the third communication was to talk about all the experiences that we have in terms of participation in meetings, climate change meetings, and all the reports that were made from those different meetings that we need to share with the government. And so questions were sent to various civil society members that will answer, and then we will submit that to the government and the members of the Benin who will be attending the summit in Turkey. So what is also important in terms of climate change is how do we place these under the umbrella of our strategic plan 2026-2029, and so we will take an example to see how we analyze these with our strategic plan. So so practice, in terms of practice, for example, can the oven help us improve the way we use wood and then our environment? And that is what I explained. The the campaigns is also done in a context of resource mobilization that we all have to really get involved in. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Pascal. Thank you for your presentation. So in Latin America and the Caribbean, we had a video. Thank you, Nelly, for presenting that. And we're going to be sharing that video with you so that you can see it with more detail. We have heard from Pascal now talking about the West Africa campaign. And now I do have to introduce a spectacular panel. Um, from 6 different parts in the world. I am so honored to introduce them. I'm going to introduce them all. Hopefully, you'll be patient with the pronunciation of some of these names. I don't know if I'm pronouncing them properly. And then I'm gonna let them have their time. Everyone, each one of them is gonna have 5 minutes, and we're gonna let them know if time is running up. So first we're going to hear from Ramon Cardoso Noguchi. He's a biologist and community leader from the south of Brazil. He's a founder and chair of the Yara Institute. Then we're going to hear from Paola Andrea Quiñones Caicedo. She's a social leader and environmental activist that founded the organization Funding Proin, which is a Afro women organization in Cali. Third, we're going to hear from Nora Jordan, who's a program officer in the organization Comunidades Arriba in Malawi. And then we're going to hear from Felicite Shukuo, who's a sociologist and environmental activist and executive director of the organization ADEM. Fifth, we're going to hear from Pramod Minu Wanpitia, who's an entrepreneur, businessman, freelance, and volunteer that is always giving his all, located in Sri Lanka. And then Sylvester Kitito Musiokam, who's a practitioner of development, community-led development at a community level. So then, with no further ado, we're going to provide the space to Ramon. We're starting with you. You can go ahead. Hello, everyone. Hello, Luana, Nelly. Hello, everyone here. I'm Ramon Noguchi. I'm a biologist and I'm the president of the Yara Institute and vice president of the um, committee of the Baixo Iguaçu. And well, I'm very proud to be speaking in Portuguese because I bring with me a community, a territory, and a whole water basin here with me. And I believe that one of the most important things in climate action is that to convey that each territory can speak with their own voice. The experience that I want to share here with you is very simple. It wasn't born from a lot of financing. It wasn't born with a lot of financing or an institutional structure that is robust, but from a very concrete question. How can we do for a community to come back to hear their river as part of their own existence? In our case, the river is light. It's in Pato Blanco, or the Ligeiro River is in Pato Blanco, the southern Brazil, and it it has degradation, movement of this of social cities and a loss of their bond with nature. And many people go alongside the river, walk alongside the river, and they don't really see the river. How can they see the river? They should see it as a living landscape and not just an environmental issue. This Rio Ligeiro movement was born in order to change that perception. We start without resources, without money, but we did have technical knowledge and the will to work. We had the capacity to listen to the community. We had the capacity to provide environmental education and the real will to move people towards a real cause, which is fighting against environmental or climate change and preserve our nature. So we had mobilization actions. We talk with speakers. We articulate with environmental education, with universities. And those were very important back then. That public, the local companies and corporations and the communities. And we started with actions that were low cost and high impact. First thing, cleaning the riverbed and the margins of the river. So taking those solid waste from the waterbeds and the river plants, we started restoring that nature around the river with local plants, retrieving that local plants. And the environmental education, which is a very full action that is very important to know in Viva Ligero movement, which is letting we didn't want scientific theories, but the action moving of the community. So it wasn't just cleaning and restoring the river itself, but restoring the relationship between the community and the river, this water source for the community. It's climate change is not just a carbon crisis, but the crisis of the bond with nature. So when a community loses that bond with the river, with the fauna, with the trees, with the landscape, they also lose a part of their capacity to take care of the future. And that is where the local action in the territories becomes very important. Viva Ligero taught us three very important things. First, that we do not need to wait for the proper conditions to start. Many communities don't have many resources, but they have memory, they have love, they have a local community and the will to change, to be a climate force. The second is that environmental education cannot be just information, it has to be action. And when a kid, a speaker, a professor starts saying, this river is also mine, something changes. The restoration stops being an external project, but it's a shared cost. And another thing that we learned is that societies need to be the protagonists of those changes. That is why, well, when we're talking about COP31, we need to take a very clear message. Climate solutions are not born from big conferences. They're born from the margins of small rivers, schools, communities, the discussions between neighbors, somebody planting a tree, protecting a riverbed. We need to listen to our territories and our communities because what we're doing here in Peru is a foundation, but a foundation need to find their soil, water, care community, and have a forest grow. And so the message is that real climate action starts when a community stops asking, who's going to resolve this? And they start doing. They start saying, we are going to take care of it. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ramon. That was great. That was very inspiring. And thank you for respecting your time. We are very proud of you and of having you be a member of MDLC. And this shows how solidarity and collective action pillars are part of our backbone. So thank you, Ramon. Paola, I'm letting you have this space. Thank you so much. Good morning. Thank you. Thank you, Luana, for the invite. And I want to thank each one of our colleagues here. It is very important, Ramon, what you said. Excellent. I think that education, and we always say that education is the very foundation, and the most important work happens from the community, from the social part, from the territory. It's very important to work around climate change and education with the communities and also towards the communities to call for them to join us to the next campaign, which is going to be happening in August 29. It is very important to have all of those processes that are being undertaken in the territories that are social and of construction and that allow support and allow for the conveyance of climate change topics and that allow for transformation are visibilized, are made visible and observed. So we want to invite you, all of colleagues here on August 29th, for you to participate in the next campaign and to say that your processes can be observed because we are working not just towards climate change, but that community education, social education, and grassroots construction. We are working for projects that are going to allow for the care of the environment. Working in these social matters is very important. And furthermore, to continue to build that foundation that allows in the territories and everywhere in the world to work and minimize everything regarding this damage in terms of climate change or mitigate it. So I want to thank everyone and thank this campaign because it's very important to make this work that is carried out everywhere in the world to make it visible from Colombia, from Brazil, from different countries, as like Salvador also, that are going to get together also and going to join this campaign. And we want to take this space to say that from the very basics, we can have very great processes, self-care processes, and processes that allow for us to preserve and take care of the lives of many people in the territories. Thank you. Thank you, Paola, for your words and for leaving some space for the next speakers. We are so glad. Nora,
Hello, I'm Nora Jordan from Community Rise. Today I'm
now
pleased
we're
to
going to
share,
Malawi.
yes, from Malawi. Today I'm pleased to share how local communities are responding to climate change through innovative, practical, and sustainable solutions that are improving lives while protecting the environment. First and foremost, Community Rise is a Malawi community-driven organization working to promote sustainable livelihoods, strengthen food security, empower women and vulnerable households, enhance community resilience, and climate change. Our approach is a community-led, practical, and sustainable solutions. Uh, uh, we are having several innovatives. So first and foremost, we distributed solar-powered irrigation for climate resilience. Why this? It reduces dependency on rainfall, enables year-round farming, supports drought adaptation, promotes food security. The result, it increases crop production, improves household nutrition, enhances income generating, and reduces climate variability. There are several challenges that communities are facing, and some of them are communities are increasingly experiencing prolonged drought, erratic rainfall, crop failure, food insecurity, deforestation, and the reduced household income. In such a way that
Nora, are
impacts
you
on
able
food.
to hear me? Can you speak a
Yes, I
little bit
am.
slower, please, for
Uh,
translation?
okay, fine.
Thank you so
Uh,
much.
on a impact on food security, building resilience for food system through irrigation farming, farmers grow crops throughout the year, households access nutritious food, communities reduce dependency on food aid, and families earn additional income. Uh, and also, through women leading climate actions resilient, women are managing irrigation activities, participating in decision making, leading savings groups, driving climate adaptation initiatives. Outcome on this, economic empowerment, increased the resilience, and improved the household well-being. Uh, and also, we are having another initiative, which is reducing deforestation through modern baking ovens. Challenges, traditional baking methods require large amounts of firewood. And as a solution on that, we distributed modern baking ovens, which uses less fuel, reduce cutting down of trees, lower carbon emissions, and improve efficiency. And the impact is that it reduces deforestation, environmental protection, and increased income. So we're having also another innovative, which is coming forward, that's sack farming initiative in Planter. Purpose of this sack farming is to promote urban agriculture and save land and water, as well as improve big household nutrition and enhance climate adaptation. Benefits of sack farming is ideal for small spaces, water efficient, affordable, and climate smart. Uh, Lesson learned, well, we have learned that communities already have solutions. Renewable energy improves resiliency. Women are key climate champions. Small investments can create significant impact, and local leadership ensures sustainability. And our message to the world is that climate change is a global challenge, but local actions matters. Every community can adapt, innovate, protect the environment, and build resilience. Together, we can create sustainable future. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nora. I think that that is a very interesting lesson as to how to take things into practice, how in the community-led development, we see the practice of these pillars of strategic planning. So now I'm going to invite, and thank you for respecting time also. I'm going to invite Felicite, Jukuo, I'm gonna give her the space. Felicite.
We're happy to hear you. Gracias. Te escuchamos.
Merci beaucoup. Je suis
Thank you.
Félicité
My name is
Dupont du Cameroun.
Felicite from Cameroon.
Je suis directrice exécutive de
I am
l'Association des acteurs de
executive
développement,
director of the
abrégé ADER.
development stakeholders.
Alors, pendant longtemps, nous, en
For a
Afrique
long time,
centrale, on se disait que le fait que nous
in
soyons
Central
dans
Africa,
le deuxième massif forestier du monde, qui est le bassin du Congo,
for the fact that we are in the
nous étions à
biggest
l'abri
forest resource
des effets du changement
the
climatique.
Congo region, we were not exposed to the climate change
Et
issues
nous avons aussi
for a
pensé
long
que
time.
le
And we
fait que
thought
ce soit les
that
pays industrialisés qui polluent le plus, nous n'étions pas
since it
véritablement
was
concernés par la
the
question climatique.
the developed countries that
Mais
pollute
très
the
rapidement,
most,
on s'est
we were
rendu
not
compte
concerned by the issue.
qu'on se
But very
trompait,
quickly, we
parce
realized
que le
that we
bassin du
were
Congo, les forêts du bassin du Congo ne
wrong.
sont pas inépuisables.
Because
Du
the
moment
Congo
qu'on coupe les arbres
basins
sans
are not,
replanter
the resources are not
les autres. Et
there
aussi,
forever. And so
on s'est rendu compte qu'au Cameroun,
we
avec la
also realized that
prolifération
in Cameroon, with
de l'utilisation des déchets
with
plastiques, on a une
the
grande montée des
multiplication of
inondations.
the use of plastic resources, we had
Et les inondations qui ont de gros
inundations
impacts au niveau
that
sanitaire
started
et au
growing,
niveau économique, parce que ça
and
détruit les
that have
maisons
impact on
et
health
les commerces des
and
populations.
housing,
C'est donc comme
because
ça
it
que
destroys
nous avons décidé
our
au niveau
houses
communautaire
and our businesses. And so we
d'engager une
decided at
véritable
the
action
community level to
citoyenne
engage
que nous avons baptisée le Hike for Climate
citizens
Justice,
actions,
qui vise à
which
interpeller les
we named
autorités
Right
pour la
for
mise en
Climate,
place d'une véritable politique de
which is
gestion
a
des
kind of
déchets dans
advocacy
les villes du Cameroun. Parce que nous pensons que c'est
for
une action
our
qui
leaders
pourrait
to take into
permettre de
account
réduire
the issue
les
of
inondations
waste
dans nos
management,
villes.
because we believe they are
Et c'est une action qui a
the
connu
reasons
effectivement
for
la
inundation
mobilisation
in
de plusieurs parties prenantes, la
cities and
communauté, les
towns, and
citoyens,
it's involved
les
citizens,
diplomates,
communities,
les
diplomats,
entreprises privées.
companies, private
Et
sector,
nous
the private
continuons
sector, and we
effectivement de
continue
mener
to
cette action de plaidoyer pour
we
qu'une
continue
véritable
that
politique de
advocacy
gestion des
action
déchets
so that
soit mise en place pour résoudre ce problème.
waste management
Alors,
policy
comme deuxième
be
action, nous avons
adopted.
l'arbre de vie.
The second action is
L'arbre de
what we
vie est
call
parti du fait
the tree of life. The tree of life started from the
le
idea that
désert est en train d'avancer
the
et nous ressentons
desert
la chaleur, les foyers de
is
chaleur partout à travers le
coming
Cameroun.
on us, and we could
Nous
feel
avons
the
également
heat
l'assèchement
increasing,
du lac Tchad,
and
qui
we
effectivement
noticed
fait
that
en sorte
the
que les
Lake
populations se
Chad is
déplacent vers le
drying up
Niger, vers
and
le Nigeria et
making
vers le Cameroun,
communities moving up
ce qui
to
crée
Niger,
effectivement les réfugiés climatiques.
Chad.
Nous avons donc pensé qu'en lançant une
And
campagne
so
que
we
nous avons
have a
baptisée
kind of
l'arbre de vie, on
climate
pouvait à notre niveau
refugees.
en
And
tant
so
que
we
communauté
decided to launch a campaign that we called
contribuer à mitiguer
the Tree of
les
Life,
impacts du changement climatique.
to
Et
plant
donc l'année dernière, nous avons
trees
lancé la
in order to
campagne l'arbre de
mitigate
vie,
climate
qui a
change.
été
And so we started last
qui
year
a eu
with
un écho
that campaign,
impressionnant
and
parce
it had
que
an impressive
au
echo
Congo
across
démocratique,
the
on
country,
a
because
eu des
in the
citoyens qui ont
Democratic
planté des arbres. Au Congo-Brazzaville
Republic of
aussi,
Congo, in
la
Congo Brazzaville
République
too,
centrafricaine, le Tchad
people
et le
really
Cameroun,
got involved
effectivement, se sont
into the
mobilisés pour
campaign
cette campagne d'arbres de
in
vie
both
et
Congos
ont
and
planté des arbres
Cameroon, and
fruitiers pour
citizens
lutter
really
contre les effets
planted
du changement climatique. Donc, c'est une
trees
action qui est en cours
to
lancée cette
fight against
année
climate
et
change.
elle est en
And
cours.
that action has also
Mais les
started this
véritables
year
challenges
and
que
is
nous avons effectivement, c'est que
actually
les communautés généralement n'ont pas les
underway.
ressources
The
pour
challenge we have is
effectivement
that
planter
communities
au
do not
maximum
have
des arbres.
resources to plant
Et
enough
nous estimons
trees,
que nous avons fait notre part déjà,
but we
comme
believe we have done
la légende du
part of
petit
the
colibri. Nous
part of the
avons une
job.
responsabilité et nous
We
devons jouer
have
notre
a
rôle pour ce qui
responsibility
est de
and we have to
réduire
play our
notre
role
empreinte écologique.
in
Donc
terms of
voilà un peu les deux grandes
reducing
actions qu'au Cameroun nous menons
the impact of
pour
climate change on our communities. So those are
s'adapter
the
et
things
pour
that we are
bâtir une
doing in
véritable
Cameroon
résilience au
to
niveau
adapt
communautaire.
and build
Je vous
community
remercie et
resilience.
reste
I
disponible
thank
pour des
you
questions.
and I
Merci.
am available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Felicita. This project is excellent. The whole matter of the resilience of the communities, being prepared, being well organized, is a very core topic here in MLDC. Thank you so much for your presentation. And now we're going to switch a language. We're going to hear somebody in Sinhalese. I hope I'm saying it correctly. So we're going to do a little test, but first I want to reintroduce our speaker. So Pramod Minuwan Pitya, the floor is yours.
මුලින්ම කියනවා
Thank
නම්
you.
ආයි කියන්නේ අපේ මම මේකේ ප්‍රොජෙක්ට්ස් පහක් විතර තියෙනවා දාලා.
First, I have to
මේකේ
tell that
මේන්ලි ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එක තමයි අපි කරපු
doing
එකක් තමයි
about
මීට
five
අවුරුදු
projects.
3කට කලින්. ඒ කියන්නේ
Something
ජපන්
that
ජබර කියලා
happened
තමයි මෙහි
about
කියන්නේ.
3
එතකොට
years ago,
වෝටර් හයිසින් ඒකෙන්
about
ඒ කියන්නේ අපිට ලොකු
handling
ප්‍රශ්නයක්
water
තියෙන එක
hyacinth
වර්ධනය වෙන වේගය වැඩි නිසා මේ
because it
ගඟාවල්
grows
වල
very
එතකොට ඒවා
fast.
අරගෙන අපිට බැහැර කරත් වැඩක් නැහැ. ඒකෙන් ප්‍රයෝජනයක් ගන්න
We have
බලන
to
එක තමයි
take
හොඳ
it.
හින්දා මේක
There's
අපි
no
කලින්
point
දැකලා
in
තියෙනවා වියට්නාම්
disposing
වගේ
it.
රටවල්
We
වල
have to
කළා
take
තියෙනවා.
it and do
එතකොට
something
අපි ඒකේ
valuable with
ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එකක්
that.
වශයෙන්
We have
බැලුවා
seen this
මේකේ
in countries like
සස්ටේනබිලිටි එකයි
Vietnam.
ඊට පස්සේ ඊළඟට මේකෙන්
We thought about the
කමියුනිටි එකට
sustainability
මොකෝ මෙහි පුවර් කමියුනිටි එකක් තියෙනවා ඒගොල්ලන්ට
and
කොහොමයි
also the
විශ්වාසයක්
poor
විදියට මේ කොහොමද මේව
communities
කරන්න කියන එක තමයි මේන්ලි
in
බැලුවේ.
our areas. So we
එතකොට
thought about
අපි
how to do
ඒකෙන්
it
කරන්න try
and
කරේ
to earn money
ඒව
and to do
අරගෙන
it as a business.
ට්‍රේන් ප්‍රෝග්‍රෑම් එකක් දීලා පුවර් කමියුනිටිස් හොයාගෙන ඒ වලට
So
ජොබ් එකක් විදිහට
we trained poor communities how to do it as a job to take this water hyacinth.
ඒකෙන් ඒගොල්ලොන්ට ට්‍රේනින්ගෙන් පස්සේ කොහොමද බෑග්ස් ඊට පස්සේ
How to make
ඊළඟට
bags,
කැප්ස් ඒ වගේ දේවල් වලින් එකෙන් හදන්න පුළුවන්
caps,
විදිහ අපි ඉගෙනුවා. උගන්වලා
and things
ඒගොල්ලොන්ට
how to manufacture things like
දැන්ට
that
පස්
from the
දෙනෙක් වගේ
water
වැඩ කරන්
hyacinth that
යනවා
we need to
සාපේක්ෂව. ඒ
dispose.
කියන්නේ හේතුව තියෙන්නේ මොකෝ සමහර කට්ටිය ඒකේ
There are
ට්‍රේනින් එක
about 6
ගත්තත්
people working
ඒගොල්ලොන්
now.
අදිගටම නියැලෙන්නේ නැතුව වෙන දේවල් වලට මාරු වෙන
Sorry,
නිසා.
sorry, Pramod and Namia. It's getting hard to hear Namia, and also I think maybe the speed is a bit fast. So could we go
Okay, I
try
get it.
slower so that we
Sure.
can? We're not hearing you well, Namia. So maybe this way will work. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah.
Also, if you could make a pause between each sentence, because
Sure.
we're hearing both you and Namia. So if you pause and then she can speak. Thank you.
Okay. ඊට පස්සේ අපි ඒගොල්ලොන්ගේ ට්‍රේනින් එකෙන් පස්සේ දැන්ට 5 දෙනෙක් විතර වැඩ කරන් යනවා.
There are about 5 people working now. There were a lot of people who took the training, but now they have moved on to other areas. So currently there are 5 people working.
එතකොට ඒකෙන් පස්සේ දැන්ට ඒ කියන්නේ කමියුනිටි එකේ ඒ 5 දෙනා ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ ජීවිකාව දැන්ට කරන් යන්නේ ওই බිස්නස් එක හරහා සහ ඒකෙන් දැන්ට අපිට ගොඩක් දුරට ඒ කියන්නේ මේ ආශ්‍රිතව තියෙන ගංගාවල වෝටර් හයිසින් අඩු කරන්න පුළුවන් හැකියාවක් ලැබිලා තියෙනවා.
This is the main livelihood source of those 5 individuals currently. And from this project, we have been able to reduce the number of unwanted water hyacinth that is growing in the area a lot.
ඊට පස්සේ ඒකටත් එක්ක අනුගාමිකව අපි තව එකක් කරා මොකෝ කළුගඟ කියලා තියෙනවා එකක්. ඒ ගඟ වැටෙන්න ඉස්සර වෙන පාත් එකක් තිබ්බේ පාත් එක වෙනස් කළා. මොකෝ ගංග වතුර වර්ධනය වැඩි වෙන නිසා. එතකොට ඒකේ පාත් එක වෙනස් කරපු නිසා පොඩි කලපුවක් ඇදලා තිබ්බා.
There is a river, and we changed the way it flows to the sea because there was a risk of flooding. So from changing the route, we were able to reduce that risk.
ඊට පස්සේ ඒ කලපුය ආශ්‍රිතව අපි පරිසර දූෂණයත් වැඩි වෙන හින්දා එක බීච් ක්ලීන් අප් එකක් කරලා ඒකේ ඇතිවන පොලිතීන් ප්ලාස්ටික් වගේ දේවල් ගොඩක් කට්ටිය එකතු කරලා ආයි අපි එකතු කරලා කාට හරි දුන්නත් වැඩක් නෑ ආයි දානවා. එතකොට අපි ඒකට ඒ පැත්තේ කීප දෙනෙක් තෝරගෙන ඊට පස්සේ ඒගොල්ලොන්ට ඒ ඩස්ට්බින්ස් වලට ඒවා පුරවලා ඒක විකුණලා ඒකෙන් ආදායමක් ගන්න ක්‍රමවේදයක් හදලා දුන්නා.
We did a beach cleanup in relation to that as well. And because even if we do the cleanup, people still put plastic and bottles, they keep on doing that. So we wanted to make it a more sustainable thing. So we selected a few people from the community and gave them that role of doing it. So now it happens on a regular basis.
ඒක තමයි ඒ ආශ්‍රිත වෙච්ච ප්‍රධාන දෙක. ඊට පස්සේ තව එකක් තියෙනවා අපි ඒක හොරණ තියෙනවා ලංකාවේ ප්‍රයිවට් පුද්ගලයෙක්ට අයිති එකම වනාන්තරේ. ඒක මේ කොඩිගහ කන්ද කියලා කියන්නේ. ඒක ડોක්ටර් මුණගම කියලා පරිසරවේදියෙක් ඉන්නවා. ඔව් නම්ය.
There is a forest called forest in the කොහෙද ප්‍රමෝද් තියෙන්නේ?
කොඩිගහ කන්ද.
There is a forest in Kodigahakanda, which is the only forest in Sri Lanka that is owned by a private individual.
Dr. Monagama.
And his name is Dr. Monagama.
ඒකේ හෙක්ටයාර් 12.5ක් තියෙනවා. ඒක ඒ ආශ්‍රිත පොඩ්ඩක් වන විනාශ වීමෙන් තියෙන හින්දා එයා ඒක ප්‍රයිවට්ලි අරගෙන රජයත් එක්ක මේව කළා කලින් අවුරුදු 7කට කලින් ඒක දැන් වනාන්තරය ආරක්ෂා කරන ගමන් අපි වගේ වොලන්ටියර්ස්ලා එකතු වෙලා ඒකේ වැඩ කටයුතු කරනවා. ඒ ආශ්‍රිතව වැඩ කරන්න අවශ්‍ය හින්දා ඒ ආශ්‍රිත 300ක් දෙනා කට්ටිය තෝරන පවුල් ඒගොල්ලන්ට කෝමාරිකා වගාව හඳුන්වලා දීලා තියෙනවා. එක පවුලකට පැල 50 ගානේ දීලා.
Because of deforestation and because the forest is being depleted, he has with him together, we have identified 300 community members, and they are working to plant plant trees in this forest.
ඒකෙන් ඊට පස්සේ ඒ කමියුනිටි එකේ ෆැමිලිස් අරගෙනම අර හෙක්ටයාර් 12.5 තියෙන කියන්නේ වනාන්තරය ආරක්ෂා කරන්න ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ සහයත් ලබාගෙන තමයි වැඩ කටයුතු කරන් යන්නේ.
So with the support of these communities that are working in planting trees, that individual who owns the forest is trying to preserve this forest.
මේන්ලි කර ප්‍රොජෙක්ට්ස් කීපයක් විතර තව තියෙනවා. ඊට පස්සේ මේ ෆොටෝස් වල තියෙන අයිඩියා එක මම කියන්නම්. ඒ කියන්නේ අපිට මේ කරන්න ට්‍රේනින් දුන්නා වෙන ඕගනයිසේෂන් එකෙන් බ්‍රිටිෂ් කවුන්සිල් එකෙන් සහ ඊට පස්සේ ශ්‍රී ලංකා ඊට පස්සේ ડોක්ටර් මූණගම ඒ වගේ ඕගනයිසේෂන්ස් වල තියෙන කට්ටිය තුළ තමයි ට්‍රේනින්ස් දීලා තියෙනවා. ඊට පස්සේ ඒකේ ෆොටෝස් තමයි මේකේ තියෙන්නේ සහ අපි කමියුනිටි එක ගිහලා වර්ක් කරපු ඒවායි.
So those what I mentioned previously were a few projects that we did, and let me explain to you what is in this screen now. So to do these projects, we also received training from Dr. Monagama, Asia Lanka, and also from the British Council. So with all that support, these are a few photos of the projects that we did.
Thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you. Thank you, Pramod. I hope it was okay for Paul. Thank you for everybody to bear with us with the translation. Gracias.
So we're gonna continue with the next speaker for today, and then we're gonna go to a shared activity in the breakout rooms. So I'm very glad. Thank you, Pramod. That was excellent. So now we're gonna go with Sylvester Kipito Musyoka from Kenya, who's going to tell us about what we're doing in the county of Makueni. So, Sylvester.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here for the second call on community action. And I'm going to share about how organization of local community groups approaches to climatic change actions. Now, in Makuwe County, the local communities organized themselves into self-help groups, mainly which involves women groups, farmers, water users association, and mainly these groups are voluntarily democratic and focused on solving local environmental problems using local resources rather than relying on external funding or scientific approaches. And I want also to share on how local communities organize themselves for voluntary action for climate change. Number one, they identify climatic problems. And as you know, in Makuwen is an island, it is arid and semi-arid. So mainly they focus on water scarcity, soil erosion, deforestation, or declining crop yield. Number two, they mobilize the interested residents through village meetings, which are held mainly under trees. Number three, to make sure that the groups run well, the elected leaders who can lead the rest of the group while they are
Esther, sorry to
activities.
interject.
Alongside that, we also prepare action plans which guide them towards achieving the goals we set at local levels. And meanwhile, they are doing this activity to share labor, local materials, and knowledge instead of every time focusing on money or finance issues. Number three, the communities organize themselves and they do social audit and they monitor their progress and they celebrate their achievements to keep members motivated to their
Sylvester, can you hear me?
Yes.
You're cutting out. Do you mind turning off your camera? Maybe it will help the audio.
Sorry?
Can you turn off your video? It might help us hear you better. Great. Try
Can
talking
you hear me now?
Yes, let's give it a shot.
Oh, thank you. Oh, sorry. Yes, I was now presenting on how local communities organize themselves for voluntary action, climate change. Number one, they identify common climatic problems, which mostly revolve around water scarcity, soil erosion and deforestation, and declining crop yields. They also mobilize themselves as per interested groups through village meetings, whereby I have said they elect simple leadership that will guide them throughout the journey of local development. The other thing, and most importantly, the communities agree on the amount to contribute for their rural development, which mainly is through labor, local materials, and knowledge instead of money. They also do social audit of their progress, whereby they gather under trees, monitor progress in their projects, and they celebrate achievements to keep the members motivated. Lastly, I wanted to show low cost or no cost climate action activities. Some of them are tree planting, using local indigenous seeds, establishing community tree nurseries, and the protection of natural springs and riverbanks. They also clear blocked water channels, and they also do kitchen gardens through use of recycled water. They also drink Kodua bands to enhance soil fertility and stop soil erosion. So mainly, as I end, I say that the communities are organized into simple groups, and while they need help, they call the government officials for simple trainings in their local setup. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sylvester, for your presentation. We are very happy to have you. And so now, thank you so much. We have heard from all of our speakers from different parts in the world, the stories that have inspired us. Thank you. And now we have 15 minutes for these breakout rooms and to debate or discuss about these four questions that we thought about. One is, which local actions are you or your community partners taking against climate change and its impacts? So which activities are already happening? Then what could you do in your community without external resources? But, getting organized as communities. Then third, consider how you can integrate these different pillars into your work. Practice policy, solidarity, and self-reliance. And four, could you do an action on August 29th as part of a MCLD campaign of action for climate? So those questions are going to be discussed in the breakout rooms. We're going to repeat the questions there.
Hopefully we're all ready.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Thank you. Thank you all again for today's call. Thank you to all of our speakers who shared about the amazing work they're doing. I saw in the chat and in the breakout rooms that people were really admiring the work and wanting to learn more. Thank you also to everyone for your patience. We had some technical challenges on today's call. We navigated 5 different languages and multimedia. So we are always continuing to improve.
And shout out to Sarah that is managing everything, all the technical things behind the scenes. Thank you. And did the wonderful video, Sarah.
Cassidy, do you mind sharing the final slides? Thank you. So I hope that in the breakout rooms, you all got a chance to, one, share about what you've been doing. I know so many more of you are working on climate change. And for example, we heard from Longi in our room how their focus isn't on climate change per se, but they're dealing with still the impacts from a cyclone that happened in Malawi a few years ago. And that is also dealing with the social impacts of climate change. Go back one slide, Cassidy, thank you. So there's a lot of different ways to be addressing the impacts of what's happening in all of our communities. We hope also that you've begun to think about whether you can participate in the next Climate Action Day that will be happening on August 29th. This is being inspired by and led by our Latin America region. And they will be sharing more information about this. Luana is going to put a form in the chat. She just put a form in the chat. If you want to participate in this day of action, you can sign up there. We'll continue to remind people and share this again. But please sign up. All it is it's a time to come together and to know that you are doing these actions in solidarity with and at the same time as other people all over the world, as all of your many fellow members of MCLD. And that can be for people who work in organizations that focus on climate change, whether that's deforestation. We heard a lot about different deforestation, or about and reforestation, or about energy alternatives. We heard about charcoal alternatives in Malawi in the group that I was in. But this day of action can also be for people that don't work on climate change and just want to energize and mobilize their neighbors and their family members and their friends to come out and do something small in your neighborhood, on your block, wherever you are. So it doesn't need to be something big and organized, but just a way that we can all embrace and feel our power to have an impact on our future and to shape the future that we want, one with a healthier climate and healthier communities and a healthier world. So thank you all again. Now the next slide. Besides this, we are going to continue looking at the COP31 over the next few months. We have a few calls coming up. Tomorrow, we have the third call for our community of practice on pushing for community-led approaches to monitoring, evaluation, and learning. If you want to be a part of that community of practice, you can sign up. I will put it in the chat at the very end of the call. And then we will have our global call in July, will be part of our mental health, well-being, and care series. So that will be with the Carey Collective from the Philippines. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for the work that you're doing at home. Thank you for being here and speaking with us and sharing your actions. And we will put the slides down, and in MCLD tradition, you can come off of mute. You can turn on your video. Thank you. Yes, very much to the interpreters.
Gracias, Daniela, Paul.
Exactly.
Namia.
Thank you so much. You can turn off mute and you can say goodbye in whatever is your
Goodbye.
preferred language.
Bye.